So this is going to be a pretty boring video. It's regression. That's just what it is. It's regression. It's kind of boring. We're going to put our x's, this is what we're going to do, into list 1. We're going to put our y's into list 2. And then we're going to do the type of regression that it tells us to do. Like the first one here is a line of best fit. So this one's going to be a linear regression, which is linreg, and then I think it's ax plus b. Anyways, we'll get to that. Anyways, after we do that, we're going to go to stat, then calc, and we're going to do the type of regression that they want us to do, which in this case is linear. So, you know, this isn't exactly going to be thrilling here. You're basically going to watch me push buttons. But there's more to it, like you get to part 2 and stuff. But anywho, we're going to go to stat, we're going to go to edit, and then we're just going to overtype. Like I told you, not exactly exciting. But, you know, watching me do something and doing something are two different things. So, after I've got all my stuff in and I've made sure it's right, like it's not, that's supposed to be an 88. I go to stat again, I scroll over to calc, I do the type of regression they want, and it says line of best fit, and we've done this, and you did this with Garner too. Linear regression, scroll down to calculate. Alright? Now you may or may not see that R value. I have not talked about what R is yet. I will at some point in time in the near future. I just have not done it yet. That's all. So I get y equals A, which is 14.11, x plus B, which is 5.833. So it's going to be this one. Now, part 2 says determine the number of carbohydrates necessary to consume 12 calories. I like to round farther than the author of this question, so I'm going to. So my equation would be 14.1124x plus 5.8331. I know how y'all feel about that, but anyways, your calories, if you'll notice, is a y variable. So I'm going to put it where y is. Then I'm just going to work my way backwards, okay? I got to figure out what 12 minus 5.8331 is, which shouldn't be too bad. It's 1669. That should work. That's 14.1124x. And the next move would be to divide out that 14.1124. Anyways, let's check my math on the 12 minus here, because I am exhausted. I've had about as much sleep today as Dakota gets, which is not much. So cool, that was right. Divide out the 14 and 1,124 10,000ths. And there we go. Not a whole lot, 0.44 calories or so. So X, which again is your calories, sorry, your carbohydrates. I guess that was 0.44. Yeah, roughly 0.44. 44 hundredths of carbohydrate. Let's see here. Now, when you move on here, you'll notice that the keywording has changed. So pay attention to keywording: exponential regression, exponential regression. The instructions are still the same. All right, you're still going to put your x's, in this case your t, because remember f of t is fancy for y, right? That's x, that's y. So your x's go into list 1, your y's into list 2. I didn't talk about how to get there before. I'm sorry. You're going to press stat and then edit. And then we're going to do, after that, we're going to do an exponential regression. So stat, calc, and it's just called exp reg, exponential regression. So it ain't hard. So all we're asked doing in number 5 is to write an exponential regression equation. And I'm going to take it, they want thousandth, which is third. I'm going to take it to the 4th, because that's what I do. Anyway, stat edit. These questions are brought to you by the New York's Regents exam. In New York, if you fail the test at the end of the year, you fail the course for the whole year. Because they're tired of kids not trying, so you make it worth more. And, you know, it needs to be like that. Because a diploma, if a diploma is so easy to get, is it really worth anything? I think that's something we've lost in high school education. We want everybody to graduate. Of course we want everybody to graduate, but it has to be it has to be worked for, not given. Anywho, I'm just checking to make sure that I typed everything in while I ran. Then I go to stat, I go to calc, and I'm looking for something called exponential regression, and it's quicker to get there by pressing the up arrow than the down arrow, I think. And I just scroll my little happy butt on down to calculate. I press the magic enter key, and there's my equation. You'll notice that the calculator uses the mother function, a times b to the x, to write these things. That's the mom function. That's what it uses. I used to teach using nothing but the mom function once upon a time. I don't know why we get away from that, but we do. I guess we thought we could make it easier by making kids memorize a whole bunch of other formulas. This would be 1.360 to the nearest 10,000th. And that is then times, I like to put the base in parentheses, 0.9711, and then she gets raised to the x. And that's all you had to do was write an exponential model. It ain't too bad. What's up next? We've got another one of these. I kind of like this one. I think I'm going to save it for class if somebody can't figure it out. Do another one of these here. Let's see. This one wants using this equation determined. So let's do this one. Again, it's exponential, but there is a, if you read the whole question, determine something. And they tell us that x is going to be 6.5, which wouldn't be on the table. Now, they are committing somewhat of a sin in math in that they are trying to predict the future. I do think that's a sin. You'll as you get older, you'll see a lot of times people talk about, well, this is what the model says is going to happen. It's a model. It's a theory. That's what it is. That doesn't mean it's right. It modeled your data. That does not mean it's going to be right about the future. So anyways, I've pushed the buttons here. I'm going to scroll to stat, calc, exponential regression again. It's choice 0. Roll on down to calculate. Press that magic enter key again. I'm tired. Again, don't be concerned about the R value, which looks horrible actually. Looks atrocious. Let me make sure I typed everything in right before I keep working with this. 0 through 5. Oh yeah, no wonder the R value is so bad. Look at that. 1100, not 11,000. So let's do that again. Stat, calc. I noticed my calculator is showing an R value, which I haven't talked to you about, and it suggested that the data was horrible. That R value needs to be closer to 1. Alright, so there we go. That looks better. And the A value needs to be close to what the table starts with. The table started with 1,000. The A value is close to 1,000. There's little things like that. Bam. Cover that up right there. Nothing wrong ever happened. So let's write out our equation here. Our equation is y equals 999.9725 times 1.0493, because we know how to round, right? Raised to the x. Now, I'm supposed to determine the number of bacteria when x is 6.5. Literally telling you what to do there, right? It says literally feed me a 6.5. So y equals 999.9725 times 1.0493 I went out to 1.0493. I got an extra 1 in there. Don't worry, I'm going to stop soon. I am very disoriented. Extreme lack of sleep. Everything's okay. Just I didn't get a chance to sleep like I needed to last night. Too much to do. Lack of sleep is a sign of depression. But I'm not there. Just busy. There you go. These are life forms, and life forms we always round up. Always. So 1367.2 becomes 1368. That is a life form. 1,368 bacteria. Then we got some old stuff. Let's do some geometry here, because I haven't done geometry in quite some time, and I always liked teaching geometry. It was one of my favorite courses to teach, but Algebra 2 is lacking, and I stepped into that role a long time ago. But I would not mind teaching geometry again. I love teaching geometry. Legs of a right triangle are represented by root of x plus root 2 and x minus root 2. And legs are the sides that are not the hypotenuse. So one of these is x plus root 2, and the other is x minus root 2. The length is c. Now, I know, and you know, that a squared plus b squared is c squared. So we're just going to put that stuff in there. One of these is x plus root 2. We're going to have to square it. The other one is x minus root 2. We're going to have to square it, and that's going to give me my hypotenuse. So we got some math to do. You know, if we're going to square something, that means that we're going to write it twice, I think. So x plus root 2 gets written twice. And then we got to write x minus root 2 twice. We haven't done this in a while in here, have we? But x times x is x squared. We're going to have plus x root 2 plus another x root 2. So it's going to be two of those things. As ugly as they are, you're going to have plus 2x root 2. And then you're going to take a root of 2, you're going to multiply it by another root of 2, and any time you take a radical and multiply it by itself, you get the number inside. So plus 2. And thankfully, there's going to be a lot of things that kind of cancel out on the second one when we start putting stuff together. You're going to have your x squared, you're going to have minus x root 2 minus another one. It's minus 2x root 2. And then negative root 2 times negative root 2 is a positive 2, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And that is c squared. So gone and gone. And I'm left with x squared plus 4 is c squared. And I'm a little confused here because I don't see that. Which means that the author of this question has probably made a mistake. And they have, haven't they? This does happen. Well, this tells me that c is simply the square root of x squared plus 4. And I don't see anywhere that I would have messed up. So, there you go. Author of this question is wrong. Well, let's do 6. The expression, the cubic root of 27a cubed times the fourth root of 16b8 is equivalent to what? So if you look at the first guy, it's the cubic root of 27 times the cubic root of a cubed. The cubic root of 27 is 3. The cubic root of a cubed is 8. All right. Take a look at the second one. The fourth root of 16b to the 8th is the fourth root of 16 times the fourth root of b to the 8th. Now, the fourth root of 16 happens to be 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So this becomes 2. And my little 4 is in the wrong spot. 4 enters 8 twice, b squared. So we have 3a times 2b squared, which is 6ab squared. Choice 1. And I'm a little too dizzy to continue, so this is where I stop.